The revenue is up, the team is bigger, you are winning more work than you were 2 years ago, and yet something about running this business is harder than it used to be. Not harder in a way that feels like progress, harder in a way that feels like the business is getting away from you. If that sounds familiar, it is worth asking a question most founders have not yet considered. What is growth really? Not what it looks like from the outside, what it actually is and what it requires. Because the definition most founders are working with is incomplete, and an incomplete definition of growth produces incomplete decisions about it. If you have been following this series from the beginning, you now have the vocabulary of what comes next. We have covered what an SME is and what founder-led means as a structural description and what a value proposition requires. That was Tier 1, context setting. From here, the series moves into the growth problem, the specific pressures and structural questions that founder-led businesses face when they start to scale. And it starts with the most fundamental question of all: what does growth actually mean? Ask most founders what growth means, and the answer will involve turnover is up, sales are increasing, the number at the top of the profit and loss is moving in the right direction. That is a legitimate and important measure. Revenue growth is real growth. It reflects commercial demand, market acceptance, and delivery capability. A business that is growing revenue but not growing its team capability, its process maturity, or its operational capacity is not really growing. It's stretching, and a stretched business feels different from a growing one, even when the revenue line looks healthy. The paradox from the open, more revenue, less control, is usually the output of exactly this. Revenue grew, the rest did not keep pace. A more complete definition of growth covers 4 dimensions. Revenue growth, more income from the business, more clients, higher fees, broader services. This is the dimension most founders track, and it matters, but it is the output of the other 3 working well, not the thing that drives itself. Team growth, not just people, more capability, a team that can operate with greater independence, handle more complexity, and make more decisions without the founder in the room. Headcount without capability growth is cost, not growth. Process growth, the business's ability to deliver reliably and repeatedly, without reinventing the approach each time or depending on the founder's personal involvement to maintain the quality. A business with strong process growth delivers consistently, whether or not the founder is watching. Capacity growth, the business's ability to absorb more demand without breaking. This includes financial capacity, the working capital to fund growth, and operational capacity, the systems and people to handle more without everything becoming a crisis. Here is what lopsided growth produces. Revenue grows faster than process. The business is winning more work than it can deliver reliably. Quality becomes inconsistent. The founder steps back in to hold standards. Delivery depends on heroics rather than systems. Revenue grows faster than team capability. More work is being done by people who are not yet equipped to do it independently. Everything takes longer than it should. Mistakes increase. The founder becomes the quality filter, which means the founder becomes the bottleneck. Revenue grows faster than capacity. The business is generating income but not retaining it, because the cost of delivering at volume without the right infrastructure is higher than expected. Cash feels tight even when revenue looks healthy. These are not random problems. They are structural outputs of lopsided growth. And they are among the most common experiences founders describe when they say the business is harder to run than it used to be. I want to name something clearly. Revenue outpacing operational growth is the most common pattern in founder-led businesses, not because the founders are making bad decisions, because revenue is the dimension that is most visible, most immediately measurable, and most directly rewarded. Team capability, process maturity, and operational capacity are slower to build and harder to measure. They do not show up on the monthly profit and loss. They are easy to defer when the business is busy, and the business is usually busy because revenue is growing. The gap between revenue growth and operational growth is not a sign that a founder has done something wrong. It is the predictable output of pursuing the visible metric while the less visible ones lag. The question is not whether the gap exists. It almost certainly does. The question is whether the founder can see it and whether they have a framework for addressing it. Here is what changes when a founder is working with a multi-dimensional definition of growth rather than a revenue-only one. The investment decisions change. Instead of asking only how to generate more revenue, the founder starts asking which dimension of growth is currently limiting us. Is it team capability, process reliability, operational capacity? The answer determines where the investment should go, and it is rarely just more than sales activity. The measurement changes. Revenue remains important, but the team development, process improvement, and capacity building becomes things the business tracks and manages deliberately, rather than hoping they keep pace. The conversations with the team changes. When growth is defined in 4 dimensions, a leadership team can have a more honest conversation about what is working and what is not, across all 4, not just the one that is most comfortable to discuss. And it opens a question that the next 2 videos in this series are built around. If growing a business means expanding across 4 dimensions, what does it mean to scale one? Because growing and scaling are not the same thing. And the distinction between them is where a lot of founder-led businesses get stuck. To summarize, growth is multi-dimensional. Revenue is one dimension, and an important one. Team capability, process maturity, and operational capacity are the other 3. All 4 must grow, not just one. When revenue outpaces the other dimensions, the symptoms are predictable. Delivery strain, quality inconsistency, founder overload, cash pressure despite healthy income. These are structural outputs, not personal failures. A multi-dimensional definition of growth changes what founders measure, what they invest in, and what questions they ask. It is also revealing the distinction between growing and scaling, which is the subject of the next video. In video 5, we look at what scaling actually means and why it is a fundamentally different challenge from growing. If you are a founder who wants the business to do more without it costing proportionally more to run, that is the video to watch next. There's more at www.turnercore.co.uk. Link is below.